Alright then, so ignoring that noise, I did took a bit of a break when it comes down to the web novel. I have a lot of things to work on, such as, Shield Hero stuff, my own personal fan fiction work, which, by the way, you should go watch, helping Studio Reverie with things, which link below for their stuff. We're almost done with literally Arc 6, so go watch. But what do I think about the latest chapters, moving from chapters 47 to 49? Since the last time I talked was on 46, which was basically the big conclusion fight from the looks of it against Roy Alphard, and I think they defeated him. I guess at this point I can say that, well, I guess all gluttonies are taken care of, unless we want to say that Lewis is still in the Hall of Memories, but not the point. We're gonna go chapter by chapter, and then what I think overall, because yes, this is basically the end of Phase 4. Yeah, Phase 4. We're still in Phase 4. Well, this is Phase 4. But anyway, the chapter 47 interests me in the sense that we have a bit of like Otto's perspective on everything that's going on, and I definitely do like how Garfield and I presume it would be Otto's ground dragon, which I kind of forgot the name, apologies. They're kind of talking and blaming themselves that they couldn't like save Otto from essentially losing himself, and yet Otto trusts them, like he still acts like himself. It reminds me of Krush, kind of how she may have lost her memories, but a lot of the more core aspects of her still remain to a degree. Obviously, you have her dressing more feminine, being more feminine, which kind of takes away from the whole point that she did from the first EX novel, but that's besides the point. Otto seems to have, like, still retain a part of himself and still wants to help them, which is super cool. Not only just cool within nature, but it basically shows that Roy was screwed no matter what, because Otto helping the whole situation, probably informed what happened, essentially screwed him up. Like, he was screwed. There was nothing he can do. And it's satisfying because it's payback. And considering that they killed Roy, like, early, I don't think his, like, whole memories got digested, so we might get Otto back anyway. But that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is the Emilia and Rem versus Aldebaran and Yae. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yae. It's pretty much just them trying to handle against Al and Yae, and eventually the Yae and Aldebaran are separated. Because Yae is basically now having to play, what would you call it? Tower defense in the sorts. Essentially, she has to buy Aldebaran time for him to do what he needs to do. And both Rem and Emilia are basically aware of that. And I do love how much trust Yae has on Al, and how it's kind of similar to how Rem trusts Subaru. Like, despite how the situation looks, Yae trusts Al being able to handle things. Hell, she even just tells both of them, like, you both are, this is gonna waste our time. Volcanica's gonna be rushing back here, so why not just surrender? And I do like how Emilia and Rem were like, yeah, no, that's not happening. You're underestimating who's fighting Volcanica slash Al or Alcanica. And yeah, I mean, she is, but it's, to be fair, it's the Divine Dragon still, and yet, I mean, Yae's faith is a mirror of Rem's faith with Subaru. So it is still pretty cool having essentially it, two of the same kind of mentalities facing each other. Think of it like mirrors, per se. But moving forward from this little part, because honestly, this is just basically the introductions of, or not introductions, but having the big final fights for Emilia and Ram being Yae, or to be her full name, the Crimson Sakura Yae Tenzin, who's facing against the Witch of Glaciation, Emilia, and the hero's confidant Ram. Like, this is essentially, they have to beat her fast in order for Al to be able to do his thing, because he is essentially like on a, there. Everyone's on a time limit. Aldebaran has to hurry the hell up, because I think he even knows that Yae is not going to be able to hold out for too long. Yae needs to hold out to give Aldebaran the chance to win, and then Emilia and Rem essentially have to beat Yae and then catch up with Al. So it's essentially a matter of hurrying the hell up. But that, and then the episode or the chapter kind of ends. Sorry, I said episode. The chapter ends with the confrontation of Dragonel versus Roswaal L. Mathers and Clint, which brings me to the next chapter, being Roswaal and Clint versus Volcanica. Now, we obviously know about Clint being like now a dragonkin and all this and that, and their fight against Dragon Al is insane. It essentially is kind of crazy how much potential Roswaal has, and how, I mean, he did lost like two magic abilities because of the whole melancholic stuff. But even then, like, dude is holding out, and he's getting his ass handed to him too. But despite everything, despite the fact that he casted All Quarter or All Quartet, and being able to cancel Volcanica's attack, that is essentially a city wiping attack, he canceled it out, which is unbelievably amazing. Yeah, he does kind of get pushed to his limits. Clint is obviously kind of impressed by how Al, who is the one who usurped the Dragon Husk, is kind of handling things well. And honestly, I mean, I do find things interesting with Roswaal, who is known to be one of the top characters in this verse, obviously outside of Reinhardt and Ram with her like horn and stuff. Like, Roswaal is able to like keep up with shit, and he getting his shit kicked in is kind of surprising. And then at the end of the chapter, we have Ezo who arrives, which, I mean, here's the thing about Ezo for those who don't know. Ezo appeared in one of the side stories, and he is part of the Felt Camp. And going through the next episode, or next chapter, I keep saying episode, goddammit. Going through the next chapter, I have to say, I like the conversation between Ezo and Roswaal. They're essentially, how could we say it? People with similar desires. Now, Ezo's different of a mage compared to Roswaal, because he basically learned it from books. Now, obviously, he's a dwarf. Dwarves have, like, divine protections. And according to Ezo, from what I could tell from the chapter, he was not born with a divine protection. Yet, he decided to go the path of a magician. And considering that they're the same age in terms of Roswaal, L, Mathers, and Ezo, not counting, like, Roswaal's soul and everything else, like, Ezo does find Roswaal impressive because he worked his ass off, and he became one of the greatest magicians in Lagunica. So, Ezo does admire Roswaal, and Roswaal actually admires Ezo. Ezo worked his ass off. He didn't really had a master, which Ezo did note that Roswaal may have had a master, and despite little differences like that, Ezo made himself to show that he is capable of a magician. And Roswaal having respect for another person is also pretty impressive. Now, keep this in mind. It's those two, with Clint's assistance, that are able to finally put down Volcanica. Like, it's just perfect. And according to those that read the light novel, Roswaal said his line from the Emilia's third trial. So essentially, we hit something important for a line to be said like that. Which makes me think that the Great Reset theory might not happen now. But, who knows on that. But I'm not going to dive into that. I'll just say this. Combining chapters 48 and 49, it is the pinnacle of the fight against the Volcanica, the divine dragon that Aldebaran is possessing. Or, well, a version of Aldebaran. He, with his obvious knowledge, thanks to Echidna, is able to keep up and be able to, like, improve as the fight is going. And yet, with mastery, or masters of magician, Roswaal and Ezo, assisting Clint, who is part of the Dragonkin, and essentially related to the Divine Dragon, those three were the best candidates to defeat Aldebaran, who, the one possessing the Divine Dragon. And, yeah, I mean, Roswaal's goal is basically here. He just needs to grab the blood and try to revive his master at this point. But, yeah, I have to say, this defeat is one hell of a way to end the phase. Like, completely put an actual end to this big phase. Because Volcanica Al was realistically the biggest pain in the ass that Al's group had. Because not only did he add Aldebrand's mentality, but he had all of the lessons that Echidna taught him. Because even though main Al does have it, he cannot perform them because he doesn't have the ability to perform like all of the magic types. He's only Earth, and having the dragon be able to possess or do all those abilities does cause problems for anyone facing them. But now that the biggest thing is done for, which makes Yai kind of look stupid, yeah, it's only a matter of time before she's defeated. And now, here's the thing. This section is now my prediction on things. I do not know how it's going to end. I can see one thing for sure. I can at least be confident. Aldebrand is going to lose. Whether that I mean that in his goal or in being physically defeated is up to interpretation. But if I were to give it whether he would succeed or not, what I'd prefer is he failed. For the sake to give Subaru a break in an arc and have it show that his allies can actually do things without him involved 100% of the time. And it's only by luck, because Aldebrand could have just started murking everyone, and he didn't. It was just by luck that he did not want to kill people. But if Al does succeed in his plan and throws Subaru and with Beatrice into the thing that is supposed to take them out of the world, and as most suspect, he'll end up back in like Japan. I would not mind that, because that would also open up a whole new potential for story. However, I don't think that'll be a permanent thing, but that's not a bad thing. It's either way, I'm fine with it, but Al does deserve to lose. If at the very least they physically beat the shit out of him, just so he can suffer for causing all this shit. And imprison him, because literally that's the only way to really stop him completely. But that's where I'm going with that. Otherwise, this phase, this whole arc has been one hell of a roller coaster. Hell, Roswaal growing as a character, because he's definitely getting affected by the Emilia camp and by Subaru's way of thinking. Because dude is actually putting his faith in others to an extent. But then again, there's also the fact that I think it was in chapter 48, he basically said if it was like any other situation, like his mentality would be to run away. But he is basically motivated by everyone from the Emilia camp that they're going to stand their ground no matter what, which is a little bit out of character for him. But still, it just shows that even a scumbag like him there's some ways to change him, ever so slightly. But overall, I definitely think this was one hell of a few chapters, one hell of an arc, and fucking hell, we're at the final phase. Like, for sure, we're at the final phase, because I don't see anything else. Al's whole group went to shit. And, I mean, Hanko's still alive. Yaya needs to be defeated. Dragon Al was defeated. Roy is most likely dead, if not, well, at the brink of death. Like, everything went to shit for his team. And if he doesn't complete his goal, they'll be, I mean, it's more of a question of why he wants to get rid of Subaru. Well, like, we need to definitely know why is this. Now, I do want to make a note on something, because there was something I was paying attention on YouTube, is that whether or not this Aldebrand is Natsuki Subaru, and now I did see someone kind of point out and say that it's kind of stupid to assume that this Natsuki Subaru that we're seeing is Aldebrand, even though, I mean, it's Aldebrand talking with Echidna and all that. If I were to say, I mean, maybe it's not Natsuki Subaru, maybe in that, like, dream world, he's basically turning to Natsuki Subaru for some reason. Now, I would be a little annoyed, because that would make invalid one of my videos, but, I mean, I don't know how else to interpret it. We definitely know that it has to be related to Flugel somehow, but I do want to see, like, an actual confirmation if Al really is Subaru, or a version of him, or something. Tappe, come on, give us the answer now. But other than that, I mean, damn, this arc, like I said, it changed ReZero forever. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Comment down below, and honestly, I hope you all have an amazing day.